Yeah.
Hey, welcome to Cruise Control, everybody. Your on air automotive magazine. I'm Les Jackson. That guy is Fred Staab, and we have a lot to talk about. And what we're talking about, of course, is the automotive industry. And there's never a dull moment. The-
That's for sure. For sure, Les. We're also going to put on our prognosticator hats and say what's ahead for
yep,
the car industry in 2025. Believe it or not, 2024 saw a rise, a 5 year rise to a 5 year high, I should say,
yeah,
which is pretty amazing specs, especially when vehicles are expensive.
that's right. And even over at Lincoln, sales were up thanks to one vehicle that isn't made in the U.S. Isn't that the way?
Yeah, yeah, interesting stuff, and we'll talk about that. We're also going to talk tech. Imagine having a human-like conversation with your Mercedes, and yeah, it could happen.
It could happen. And something else that could happen and did was Bankrupt Fisker actually outsold Volkswagen um, it, in a certain way. And it really happened.
Yeah, that is crazy. It is really crazy numbers, and I we'll kick it around. And one of the reasons is Volkswagen had problems with door handles. What is it with electric vehicles and door handles? I don't understand
Yeah,
it. Yeah, but plus we'll have some pricing for the Nissan Murano, which is a vehicle that could help save sales at Nissan. Of course, the Honda Nissan merger is coming up. And then you got a story on a vehicle that really you really can't buy. I don't know how they're even selling this, but it's a
well,
presidential limousine, right?
because when they're replacing a series of them, they're called the Beast. When they're replacing a series of them, they actually do sometimes sell them. They get rid of all the top secret stuff in them,
Not on this one.
but they
This one
sell
has
them as
everything
armored.
in it.
It also weighs everything.
Yeah. Um, I had heard that they scrapped them secretly because they did not want people knowing what was in them, or they used them for training drivers where they would
They do that,
destroy
but
them
they
to
do
do.
that. Um, but in certain cases, and there are museums all over the country that have old presidential limos.
Yeah,
They will sell them, but you can't learn anything from them.
yeah, they've been what do they call that? Washed, I believe that's what they call
They've been washed, and
it.
there's a lot of technology in these things.
Yeah, well, this one's going up for auction at the Mecum auction coming up. Some museum will buy it. You look at that glass; it's it's like 2 inches thick.
That
Imagine the
glass is,
window regulators that you need to operate that
oh
thing.
yeah, yeah, you need an elevator motor.
That's right.
They're about three inches thick. They'll stop a 50 caliber machine,
Round.
like
Yeah.
uh, tank round. Believe it or not, two of my high school friends, good friends of mine, I'll just call them Mike and uh, and Dick. That's their first names. I'm not going to give you their last names, but they were engineers designing these in their career in the Secret Service, and
Wow.
I learned a lot about them that I wouldn't shouldn't have.
It does come with a like a 7-inch TV and a VCR. That's the main thing.
Right,
But we'll have the full
right.
story of that coming up, though. But interesting year in 2024 for the auto industry. Big sales, 5-year high, right?
5-year high. Once COVID got got taken care of and the backlog of everything
Missing parts
was got
supplies.
caught up this past year. Remember, way back in 2024, this past year the sales went up. I think it's going to end at about 15,800,000.
Wow. Wow, that's huge. Huge. And
It
hybrids
is
were the
huge.
driver, and companies that
Hybrids were
had
the
them
drivers. Yep.
were the ones that were successful.
Which is a lesson that you have been talking about forever, and that is you gotta know what people are buying.
Yeah, and then you make what they want. Doesn't seem like it
Now,
doesn't
now see
seem
that there you go, being logical.
if people want to buy things, you make what they want to buy.
I,
It doesn't seem hard, does it?
that's quite a concept.
If they want red hybrids, I would make red hybrids.
So would I, because that's what they want. If they want woodies,
You make
I'll make
woodies.
woodies.
Yes.
Uh, They
Well,
don't.
here's the thing. I think the big winner of this is Toyota. Toyota took heat. You're not going all electric. What are you doing? You're not, and they took the back seat. They said, well, we know hybrids really well, so we're going to make hybrids. We saw the Camry go all hybrid. Amazing that they did that.
Yep.
And now they have like something like a 600 plus mile range, and you can refuel it in 5 minutes. That's wonderful. And the RAV4, the hybrid model really sells well. Probably the next generation in 2026 will be all hybrid. Why not?
Hmm.
And thing even down to like Toyota Corolla hybrid that I tested got like incredible mileage and is not all that expensive.
And and it's a and they are a full line manufacturer,
Yes.
which is
Yes.
another thing.
Yes. So that's the thing. That's how this works. If they want to buy hybrids, you should quickly move to build hybrids. Who's done well in hybrids? Kia, Hyundai,
Yeah,
uh, obviously Toyota. But the other manufacturers, like we said, GM's like, well, maybe we'll have some in 2027. You know, they have great hybrids elsewhere, and they just
that's right.
are slow to change. Um,
It's I have to say GM just seems overburdened with too many decision makers at too many levels.
yeah, and they're like a big ship. They're like, oh, we have to turn it
Mhm.
around, and it's going to take miles. Or trying to slow
Yeah,
down a 100-car loaded train, and it's going to take miles to slow it down. So
that's right.
I don't know. I don't know. And they decided, finally to make an affordable electric vehicle. The Bolt was on its way out, and they are bringing it back. So I think that's wise. I think that's what people want. They want some people want cheap cars.
Hmm.
As we will see, Mitsubishi had a huge year. What sold well the last year of the Mercury of the Mitsubishi Mirage. Mirage is like the cheapest vehicle you can get, but
Right, right.
some people want a cheap vehicle. They don't want to spend a lot of money for it. So who lagged last year? Stellantis and Tesla. Tesla actually sold fewer cars than it did previously, not by a lot in the previous year, but part of that was, they say, the influence of cheap Chinese vehicles around the world. That China's
Well,
been kind of a
plus
loss for manufacturers, except for
plus
Lincoln.
a massive recall.
Yeah, plus a massive recall, which takes that up. Also, Jeep and Stellantis lagged
I
because they had the wrong
sorry,
mix.
I
Go
just
ahead.
have to be a wise guy. The
A
Tesla
wise
ran
guy.
out of zip ties.
Yes, and there was no more wood moldings to hold on the power
Yeah,
transformers. The cut pile
we're
at
just
Home
we're
Depot
just being silly.
ran short. The cut pile where they just have scraps and you just pick up a piece of wood and some zip ties. Yeah, it's Stellantis got their mix all wrong. That was a disaster. Their CEO was changed out, and probably they're, as I say, doing triage right now to make it
Yeah.
right. And they've done a lot of things. They're bringing out the less expensive Alfa Romeo Tonale. They're changing the pricing on Jeep Gladiators. They're bringing back an automatic transmission with a V6 in the Jeep. So I think it's all hands on deck. The ship is filling up with water, and they are finding ways to do battle damage control. Don't you think?
Well, I think the manufacturers for 2025 are in a very good position uh, for resuming excellent sales because uh, most of them have the right products. Uh, Three of them have the right CEOs because those guys were holding them back.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's going to be a really good car year.
Well, what do you think of someone like Ford? Ford did well because of the F 150, right? And they had
Yeah.
hybrid sales. Of course, they did well with the Maverick, which is a hybrid or available as a hybrid. There's talk they're going to get rid of the Escape. Not sure where that's going. Seems like it's dumb. It's the
Oh no.
most car like thing that they have, and it is available as a hybrid. Um, but a lot of their money came from big trucks, and that's the problem. If you're not a full line manufacturer, um, like Toyota or Kia or even Nissan, if you're not a full line manufacturer, when the swing happens, you got nothing. So I wonder about Ford. I really do. What they'll do. F 150
I
strong,
yeah.
but what do you think?
Well, I wonder too. I'm frankly disappointed that the only car they make is the Mustang. Um, but the fact of the matter is, even though they're kind of limited, their sales were up almost 35%
Yep,
uh, in EV of all types. So they're sitting there saying, "Hey, we did all right.
they did
Uh,
all right. Yeah, but
yeah, we don't have to make a Torino."
I want a Gran
and,
Torino. Get off my
and
lawn.
I'm not suggesting that they should, but
No, no. I mean, but I
yeah,
don't know. I've said a long time ago on cruise control, why don't you just make everything a hybrid instead? And I
yeah,
think
yeah,
that would be the most similar experience to what people are used to. You'd get that punch off the line of the electric motor, and you get incredible mileage. Look at like the Kia Niro hybrid
yeah.
gets like 53 miles to the gallon, and it's a little station wagon. I mean, it
Do
drives
you
great.
think? Do you think they might ever build a Mustang hybrid all-wheel drive?
I don't know about all-wheel drive, but there's been talk about a Mustang hybrid as one way to keep the V8. And
Yeah,
I think I think Stellantis should do that
I
for
would.
the
I would
for,
look at that
yeah,
seriously.
yeah. I think they could have kept the Hemi that way. I think they could have de-stroked the
Hmm.
Hemi a little bit.
Oh, the Hemi's not gone. It's sitting there in the warehouse. They're uncrating them as we speak.
Yeah, they're probably working on a new generation of it, and but that with a hybrid to really launch it, like get a real
Yeah.
quick hit off the line, with with front wheel electric motors, just like the
Hmm.
E-Ray. I think that might be a great way to go. Maybe they should have done that. They should have done that, but maybe they will. Who knows? Big story in 2025 will be what will happen to certain vehicles manufactured outside the U.S., and will there be big tariffs? And you look at how well Lincoln has done with their Navigator. A lot of people don't know this is a full size SUV, and it is strictly built in China for all markets around the world. It's a beautiful vehicle, but I think a lot of people don't realize that it is built in China. You would say, oh, that's definitely built in Dearborn for sure, wouldn't you?
It's and it's really a nice vehicle. We have some friends that own one, and I'm sure they don't know it's made in China.
Right.
But it's a I mean it's a first rate fine piece of machinery.
Yeah. And you look at that numbers for this. Lincoln sales rose 28% last year, reaching a total of 104,823 units. And that is the reported highest retail sales in 17 years. Fourth quarter sales
Boy,
were up 88% to 10,241 units, which is big. Um, what people like, the Lincoln Nautilus combines 48-inch display with an available hybrid powertrain, and that's something that people really care about. Isn't the Nautilus, by the way, is the Nautilus based on the Escape? I forget, but I would hope that they wouldn't eliminate this and the Escape. I don't think they will eliminate the Escape. I frankly don't, but a lot of people are saying they might. Um,
I tell you, it's that kind of sales growth, and it'll continue into 2025. Um, that's that's very very impressive, and some of these are not exactly cheap.
no, no. Well, what do you think? They must make a lot more. You look at these prices, but they're huge. I mean, look at what they're charging for Escalades. By the way, Cadillac Escalade um, has a price tag of 87,595. And some of the Lincoln models even top that. But I wonder what are the margins like on this Nautilus building it in China? Are they super
Uh,
impressive?
they've got to be very high.
It's a beautiful
I mean,
vehicle.
we know the margins on the big SUVs have always been quite substantial.
Right. At least
Like,
25, $30,000.
oh yeah, yeah, and they wouldn't do it this way if it weren't as cost effective. Let's put it that way. So, and even with a $2,000 destination fee on top of the 99 grand, that's hey, they're making money.
Well, what happens if they say tariff time because it's made in China?
Well, I think there are going to be once Congress gets a hold of it, um, if it happens at all, there will be so many loopholes
Yeah.
and
Except for the Lincoln Nautilus.
exceptions. Yeah,
just write that in. Except for the Lincoln Nautilus.
yeah,
No, what they'll
yeah.
say, except for vehicles that are already being built in China as of a certain
That's
date.
right. Or built by American-owned companies.
Yeah. Interesting. Well, we'll
Um,
we'll see.
this what I don't get, and what I hope Congress has a brain and doesn't allow, is putting tariffs on Canadian goods. My
I think
gosh.
I think that might be a saber rattle. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you talk to your
Anyway,
car, Les, by the way? Do you talk to your
pardon?
car? Do you talk to your car?
I do. I do. Um, I actually talk to my older collector cars more, but yeah,
Okay.
my cars I actually has a name.
Okay. If you care to
Uh,
share it.
it is Mary and I decided to call it Snowflake
Okay. All
because
right.
it's very bright, beautiful white.
Okay. Well, we're going to talk a little tech when we come back about having a conversation with your vehicle just like it's a human. And and it will not make you people look at you because you'll actually be able
Right.
to do it with some new technology. So stay tuned to Cruise Control with Fred Staab and Les Jackson. We will be right back.
Cruise Control.
And welcome back to Cruise Control, your on-air automotive magazine. We're having a good time discussing what's going on in the automotive industry. Les Jackson and I are taking you on a tour around the automotive industry. A lot going on, getting going. And let's talk a little tech. You and I have talked for a long time about how these voice activated systems when they first came out were terrible. They've gotten much better, but still it's
Yeah.
awkward. You have to say phrases.
It's still awkward.
You have to say navigate to in certain cars or
Yeah.
destination in others. But now Mercedes is bringing out AI enhanced MBUX voice assistant that provides accurate and up-to-date answers to a wide range of questions. They're using ChatGPT technology and delivers the responses through the Microsoft Azure Open AI service and uses Microsoft Bing for web search data. So this offers a seamless interaction with dialogue history, allowing for follow-up questions and continuous communication. So there you have it. Tell me the meaning of life.
Well, okay. First, well, I'm going to assume it works. Every Mercedes I've ever tested, the voice control has not worked well.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I think you probably have had the same experience. But anyway,
Yeah.
um, assuming it works and you can talk to it and so on, at what point are you getting too distracted?
Well, that you wonder how the conversation goes. Like I always said on navigation, it would be great if you say, I know that's the shortest route, but I don't like taking the George Washington Bridge. And it will say like, hey, I remember 2 trips ago
Yeah.
you told me you don't like to take. The problem is, where
Yeah.
does all that data live? Not that that's that earth-shattering that you don't like to take that bridge, but there's data that must remain somewhere in the vehicle. Um, and when someone
Hmm.
else drives the vehicle, I guess it recognizes that it's a different person driving it.
It does. My car, says, "Are you driver number one or driver number two?"
Okay. All
Yeah.
right. It doesn't say less. I'm glad you had a good evening. Now drive carefully.
That's right.
um,
Hello, I'm Hal. Uh, but really, I I think if you start having conversations with the car, you're not situational aware of what's going on around you. I mean, it's like getting engaged in a telephone call too much.
yeah, that could be. That could be. I don't know. I mean, I think the technology. I use Chat GPT in a number of different ways. I find sometimes I have to tell it, nope, that's not the correct information. You need to look that up again. Like, nope, that was last year. And it will say, oh, sorry, you're right. I'll let me get some fresh information. That's almost like a conversation, you know.
That's fine.
Um,
Um, but I don't. I would have to experience this to get a feel for um, how useful is it, and what are its limitations.
okay. And also, as I say with any technology, it might not be great now, or it might be okay, but it will get better.
It will
So,
get better.
yeah, and I've seen things get better pretty quickly when it comes to technology. So, there you have it. What do you think? Would you like a human like conversation with your vehicle where it answers, where it's not a one way conversation, where it actually answers? Let us know. Let us know in the comments if that's technology you like and would like to see it. So, I think it doesn't matter if you like to see it. It's coming to a dashboard near you, whether you like it or not. Here's a weird question, Les. So, big story of 2024, of course, was Fisker and Fisker Ocean.
Yes,
They went out of business. They went bankrupt, right? Okay, we understand that. But Fisker had in October a bigger sales month than Volkswagen, despite Fisker being bankrupt. How does that happen?
that what it means is Volkswagen hardly sold any electric vehicles.
Well, they sold 92 in October of ID4,
Oh,
and
okay, that's
and
not much.
Ocean, the Ocean SUVs from Fisker sold 110. So they beat them by
But
a few. These are not big numbers for sales, by the way.
these are tiny numbers, and at least the Volkswagen, you can go get it fixed.
Right. We're
Who bought the Oceans?
Well, there are always people looking for deals, I can fix it. Hold my beer.
Hmm.
I can fix it. Um, I don't know. It could be there was that deal with a company that was buying them out, and they were a car service company or something like that. I forget who was going to buy them. Um, People will take a chance. They'll take a shot. They'll
Yeah,
say, "Hey, I'm buying this for 20 grand, and it used to be worth 85 grand. Look at the deal I got." I know there's a lot of people that do that with technology, old stuff. They're like, I can repurpose it, I can make it better. But
yeah.
um, the problem that VW had was with the ID4. Believe it or not, I don't know why this is, but apparently electric cars have problems with door handles, and they ran out of parts to make the ID4 door handles.
Yeah.
Um, so they couldn't sell them, and they just announced that they're available again because they're building them. Seems weird, but I guess we're still having lingering supply issues. You know, I would think if I was getting low on those parts, I would be really working the phones
I'd
hard.
be screaming,
Yeah,
to my
get me.
supplier.
Yeah, I don't know. But there you have it. That's the reason. That's one of the reasons. So ID4 is great. I drove it. I thought they've improved that
Yeah,
tremendously. I never got to drive a Fisker Ocean. I'm sorry it didn't
never
work
did.
out. I'm sorry it didn't work out. More variety of vehicles means we can talk about more things on cruise control, and to not have it is sad. But we do have some pricing on the Nissan Murano. Nissan, this is a very important vehicle for Nissan because, as we all know, their sales have been down, and it's kind of sad that they may have to take the poison pill, if you like, to become part of Honda. Not that that's a bad thing. If it's not a
No.
bad company to be aligned with, but they had new product coming out, the Kicks and the Murano area, as we saw. But it might be a little too much, a little too late. But let's look at the pricing on this. Also, not a bad price on this vehicle. Fourth generation crossover here starts at 40,470. Right now, the problem with this overarching is it is not a hybrid, and there's no hybrid offered. And it does. They all come with a 241 horsepower 2-liter VC turbo, variable compression turbo powertrain, 241 horsepower, 260 pound-feet of torque, a 9-speed auto. But you're just not going to get hybrid fuel mileage with
No.
this.
No.
So the problem is they are at a premium number. The front-wheel drive model starts at 40,470. The all-wheel drive model, 41,470. And then you go up from there. Murano SL all-wheel drive, 46,560. And the Platinum all-wheel drive, 49,600. I think the problem here, and I haven't driven it and I haven't seen it, and I do want to do both of those. The problem is it's good, but does it stand out enough?
Probably not. They are good. We know they're good. Um, but I think, I don't know this for sure, but I think you can strike a really good deal on these. So in
Yes.
that respect, they stand out.
If you could get this in the mid 30s, let's
Hmm.
say for the all-wheel drive model, or the upper 30s for the, let's say, Murano SL all-wheel drive, which will probably be the volume leader, then it's probably a good deal. Because now you won't get the hybrid. So it's, you could spend a little more, maybe not that much more. You think about it, get something like a Toyota Crown, their SUV version of that, CUV version of that, and you would have all-wheel drive, and you would have hybrid powertrain with 40 plus miles per gallon. You wouldn't have to spend that much more than some of these prices to get that. If you did, I'd have
No,
to run the numbers. Uh,
but of course, you get a very much nicer inside uh, vehicle with the Murano.
mm-hmm. I don't know. I don't. It might get lost in the shuffle. That's what I'm thinking. You know. And the
Yeah,
fact that there's no hybrid is a big problem. I would say when this Nissan Honda thing goes together, this thing will get a hybrid. Every
it
model should have a hybrid.
that's right. Well, Honda will make sure of that.
Yeah, they will say you got to have a hybrid. I wonder how hard that is for engineers to put in a hybrid drivetrain, or just say, here, hey, here's another drivetrain from a Honda to put it into an existing vehicle.
Um, it well, and being an engineer,
Yeah, and
it's
having
not.
done this with other vehicles.
Yeah, it's not easy. It is really not easy, but you can do it. And the whole point of being an engineer is using the knowledge of science and all of the metallurgy and strength and all that stuff, you can do it. You just need to fit whatever the final package is into the current uh, body, and they may need to use a different platform, but you can do it. And I believe that the Honda engineers and the Nissan engineers can do it in a short amount of time.
Yes. Yes, I think so too. I think so too. And I think, you know, time is of the essence. And so I think they
It
will
is.
do
It
that.
is.
And they do have a Rogue hybrid on the ways.
Yeah.
So that's good. So well, we'll see. We'll see what happens. What do you think of the Nissan Murano? Let us know in the comments on our social media platforms. We'd like to hear about it. So let's talk a little bit about another vehicle that will probably never become a hybrid. And this is being offered by Mecum Auctions, which is a very interesting vehicle. As you know, these are completely custom. They're designed to look like a Cadillac, but they actually have a truck platform under them. And you look at the side glass, my gosh, that's at least 2 inches thick. As I said earlier, you can't have a standard window regulator to put that up and down. I would love to see the mechanism for doing that. That's not too secret, but this is a vehicle that was used by President Bill Clinton in that time frame. It's certainly one that he actually used because it's got all the armor on it yet, and it has things like a random valve like this for fire suppression or oxygen.
Yeah, that's
Just a random cutoff valve. It does have that 7-inch TV, which is color, I believe, and a VCR. These things typically are destroyed because they don't want people getting the information about them, or they're just crashed. For testing, they run things into them to see what could cause a problem, or they use them in training for drivers, to beat up, to ram through things. They're not typically sold, are they?
not typically, but again, the museums have them, and other organizations have them.
Mm-hmm.
But these are, as the presidential limos go, these are fairly simple.
Mm-hmm.
Notice it doesn't tell you how much it weighs.
A lot.
And there's a reason for that,
Yeah.
because you can then figure out the materials and so on.
Yeah,
It has a clean Carfax report.
I know,
I find that really funny.
Do you remember? It's happened a couple of times where people have run into the presidential motorcade,
Mm-hmm.
and like you see the whole front of their cars ripped off, and there's like a scratch on the.
Oh yeah,
It doesn't do anything. It's like you ran
you're
into
not
a
going to.
moving
Yeah,
concrete
you're not going
wall.
to stop it.
Yeah.
And
That's funny though.
yeah.
454 hand built by Jack Roush. That's kind of cool.
Yep.
$6 million invested
I
in
suspect
three
it was a lot
vehicles.
more than that.
Well, that's for three vehicles, but yeah, who knows?
Yeah.
626 miles. This is a real low mileage cream puff.
They're flown in cargo planes to where they're supposed to go, and then they get into they get into a short parade to where they're going to go speak or whatever. Then they're brought back and get on the cargo plane. They don't travel much distance. I see the motorcades frequently around here, through DC, and they're heading out either Route 66 or Route 95. 66, they're going out to Dulles Airport, or and on 95, they're going over to Andrews Airport to go to Air Force One and Two.
And
And they have big C-130 transport planes that follow them.
yeah,
They don't get many miles on them, so it's only only used for grocery shopping, I guess, is the kind.
that's right.
But the fact is, these things are tanks. They're just tanks.
Well, you know
Uh,
where one of the technologies they spurred is run flat tires, because that was a big deal. I remember that
yeah,
reading about that, and they're like, "Oh yeah, you can shoot the tires out and still go 65 miles an hour." And the run flat technology, I believe, came from there,
it did.
because yeah, you can't have an armored machine like this and have it taken out by someone shooting out a tire, right?
No, you would have to blow up the tires
Yeah,
with some kind of a device, and even then, first of all, there are a whole lot of other vehicles, heavily armored vehicles around it,
right.
and you're not going to get close to it. And if you do get close to it, you're not going to ever see what happened
Yes.
to what you tried to do because they're going to take you out.
They have a
Uh,
public address system, a telephone.
yeah.
Um, let's see. They have strobe lights. That's always fun to have.
Oh, lights. Yeah. Whenever they're around, whenever these motorcades are around here, the lights are all over the place.
You get the cool little flag holders
Yep.
in the front. That's always fun.
The flags are there, and there's always a motorcycle, police motorcycle escort in front of it and behind it.
Yeah,
And
and
I'm not it, I'm talking about them. Yeah.
typically an ambulance as well. They
Yep.
have a lot of. It's a whole parade of stuff. Um, it's quite the machine. Now, this is going to go up for auction on Saturday, January 18th in Kissimmee, Florida, Mecum auction. Certainly a museum will buy this. No one's going to buy this to drive around in.
Yeah.
Um, I would imagine even with 450 horsepower, they're not that fast
Uh,
for that weight.
no, they're probably not. Um,
But
I've never ridden in one.
but you get a 7-inch color television and VHS deck, so that's the thing. Um,
I have no idea what transmission is in them.
I like that you think about this to take a truck chassis and make it look like a Cadillac. That's
Yeah,
that's that's some that must be some custom
it's
fabrication, don't you
it's
think?
again. I should have worked for the Secret Service engineering cars. I missed opportunity to do that.
Wow. Um, I would just like to drive it but I bet it, it just rides like, I bet it rides terribly. But hey,
Oh, I don't know. It probably doesn't. Um,
it's
Probably floats and
the window. I want to put the side windows up and down.
that. Yeah.
Oh man. I wonder what the optical distortion's like in the looking
It's
out this.
tremendous. I do know that.
Yeah, it must be that it is. It must be complete distortion. But I find it interesting that this is being sold and the Mecum auction. If you're interested, get that bitter paddle. Ah, boy.
Yeah.
Hey, let's take a look at Mitsubishi. We don't talk about Mitsubishi that much on the show, and we should. They had a great year. 2024 sales were up more than 25%. That is a
Terrific.
big number.
That's big, big, big.
Of course, they have a revised Outlander coming in, and they have the smallest lineup of any manufacturer I think I know of. They have a couple of a small SUV and a large SUV. They did
Right?
have what was arguably the first plug-in hybrid, Outlander plug-in hybrid, with beautiful interior. As I said, also one of their cars that are going away is the Mirage, one of the least expensive cars. I wonder if they'll bring out a very inexpensive crossover to replace this. What do you think?
I think they will, and I think they'll bring out a hybrid version. Um,
Well, that's interesting.
Maybe even of the Mirage, or called the Mirage, but not the same vehicle.
For a real inexpensive vehicle, it's not bad when you look at it. I mean, you can't you whatever you don't like, you say, "Yeah, but I didn't pay much," right?
Yeah, that's right. I didn't pay much, and they're they're reliable.
Yeah,
Um,
got a warranty, and this
yep,
is one of those vehicles where it costs less to buy a new car than it does to buy a used car.
absolutely.
And it comes with a warranty. It's got updated safety systems, and it's got a radio and air conditioning
And a heater.
and a heater, you
Yeah.
know. And they look like 13-inch wheels, probably, if that.
Oh, gosh, do you think they're that small?
I don't know. It looks pretty small.
I'm
It look
thinking maybe 14, but
they're rolling hoops, big
I'm going to
hoops.
check. I'm going to check on that.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of the mustard color, but you know, if you need reliable wheels and you don't care much about what you got, it's fine. And
They're 14 or 15 inch, your
yeah, they're
choice.
they're the big dubs. they're, they're the
Yeah.
big dubs. Where do you think they go? I mean, they're part of Nissan, and their head
Yeah.
was standing up there. Um, they did okay.
They really did. And that's do any Nissan dealers sell Mitsubishis?
I don't know, but it'd be a great way for them to have a plug-in
S-
hybrid if
Seems to
they
me
didn't.
they should be. But yeah, there. I mean, there you have a perfect example. They had the right product mix at the right time,
Mm-hmm.
and they sold.
And they sold, and there was a market for what people wanted: an inexpensive car, and they wanted a
That's right.
plug-in hybrid, and maybe they want a crossover, and they don't want to spend a huge amount of money for it. And all their products are up to date: Eclipse Cross and Outlander.
Yeah,
So,
and a 25% jump in sales in 1 year. It's just spectacular.
yeah, nobody can say that's not good numbers. So we'll have to see. We'll have to see. Other big story: a lot of recalls, and
Yeah.
the number of recalls. There's a huge list. Tesla led it in 2024, but then after that, Volkswagen had 1 million cars recalled, 18
Wow.
recalls. Hyundai, 25 recalls, over 1 million. Toyota had 16 recalls, 1.2
Oh,
million.
yep. It's all over a million.
Yeah,
Kia. Up.
yeah,
What? Kia. All right.
yeah. Kia, yeah,
Yeah.
1.2,
Hyundai,
20,
Kia.
yeah, um,
Tellurides. A lot.
yeah. One of the weird ones that just is happening now is over at Kia. One employee forgot to bolt the second and third row seats in, and
Whew. Wow.
this could affect like 30,000 vehicles. It's like, wow. I mean, like, what happened at the end of the day? They said, what are all these extra bolts? Where were these supposed to go?
Yeah.
What do you think
You
happened
wonder.
there? Like, somebody wasn't trained well, huh?
And it's hard to do that now because everything is barcoded and the system checks all through the manufacturing. That's phenomenal.
Yeah. Uh, I it was on the EV9. It was the second row and the third row, and I, I don't know. Like as you're going along, wouldn't you say like, why do I have these extra parts? Wouldn't you ask somebody and say something doesn't seem right here? Uh,
Yeah,
I mean, were the seats completely loose? Like they're
they
just,
must have been.
or was it one
Uh,
bolt on one side? I don't know.
I don't know, but then you go to Honda, and they had almost 4 million vehicles recalled, and Ford almost 5 million.
Yeah. Some of them are small things, but others
Yeah,
are pretty major.
it costs money.
Yeah. Yeah. Some of them are pretty like A pillar trim.
Yeah,
Okay, that's junky and you should get it fixed. But others, like um, over 500,000 F-150s could suffer from a signal loss between the transmission output shaft sensor and the powertrain control module, causing the transmission to downshift into first gear at any speed. That would
yeah.
be
Now,
interesting at 70 miles an hour, wouldn't it?
oh, it would be. And by
Would
the
your
way,
engine
this
blow immediately? Would it just, I
probably
mean,
would.
it,
Um, the Cybertruck, Mr. Staub,
yes.
was recalled on 7 separate occasions
Oh, boy.
for sticking accelerator pedal to a drive inverter fault. Uh, Now, come on. By the way, uh, I have very, very close friends at NHTSA, and my friend uh, Ed tells me that the average model sold in America of any brand has 4 recalls in its life.
That's not much in its life.
Tesla Tesla has 54.
Oh, my. Wow.
This is not me. This is NHTSA saying
Well,
it.
you know, I've always said this, and we asked the Consumer Reports people when they were on cruise control. All right, so door latches don't work. There are people that have spent their life perfecting door latches in the automotive world.
For
Maybe hire
decades.
some of them. Hire some,
Yes,
and
exactly.
and there was always this. I am a disruptor. I am, I. Yeah, but for something like that, you don't want to be like the guy that can't get in his door. Like, and this happened on Fisker. It happened on
It sure
Teslas.
did.
It seems that I don't understand it, and it's like you're not. You can still have your disruptor status, but don't be that disruptive that somebody
That's
can't
right.
get in
In
their
in the
car.
industry, you want to hire a box team, and the
Mm-hmm.
box team does all of the designs for door handles and doors openings and hinges and windshield and other glass fitment
Right,
and all of those things that have been well known and worked out for 50 years.
right,
And then
right,
you build all the stuff you want as the innovator.
right. I agree.
But your box people dictate how this is going to be put together.
And the ironic thing is, when Tesla started, that's what they did. They bought the body from Lotus
Yeah,
with their original Roadster, and then they did the powertrain, which is cool. I think
yeah,
that's
it is cool.
I think that is fine, but I just don't know why it's ongoing because eventually you figure it out. Or you talk to somebody and say,
Yeah,
bring this person in as a consultant and say, make this work. Um, I just don't want to
it's,
go back to
it's
the
not hard
70s
to do. I mean,
where
it's
stuff
just
parts
not.
were falling off as they came off the assembly line.
Yep.
They're like, so what? That's I don't know. What do you think? Why do door handles not work on electric vehicles?
Yeah.
I know they're aerodynamic, some of them, and they retract, okay, but sometimes just regular parts and pieces that should work don't on the new vehicles. So hard to say. We hope you've enjoyed this edition of Cruise Control. If you like it, this type of content, make sure to tune in each week to our show, and also check out all our social media platforms because we've got plenty of information there as well. Time for me to say I'm Fred Staab.
I'm Les Jackson.
We are going to see you down the road.
Bye.